looking at the ETFs. There's a lot more than they used to be, but let's take it from the top. Here we go. By the way, this isn't sorted in any specific order except alphabetical, so it's not like, oh, the strongest ones are first. This is another great lesson for everybody. Templates, weekly on the left, daily on the right. Why? What looks choppy on a daily may look good on the weekly, or vice versa. And you can see what this is forming right here. Couple with a high handle, and you can see it on the daily also. Bit of a tail bar here, it needs to take it out. But what's the big picture story here? Technology stocks don't look too bad. They don't look too bad. There we go. And we like that. Let's move on. Here we go. Gold miners are hanging in pretty good, as you can see. Now, this is, again, why we look at both. You can say, oh, boy, this is looking pretty good. But then you look at the weekly and say, oh, there's some overhead supply coming up right here. There we go. So what does that tell us? Got to be a little cautious up there. And it is a little bit extended from the breakout here. Very important lesson for everybody. Buy close to the pivot. Don't chase price. There was a lower level breakout right here. Wasn't on much volume. But don't chase price. Buy close to the pivot or don't buy it at all. But what does this tell you? Big picture? Gold miners are picking up, but there's still a lot of overhead supply over on the left-hand side. Continue onward. There's gold. Now, gold's a little bit stronger. You can see this weekly, long weekly base breakout on increasing volume. You can see it on the daily. It's a little bit extended. Is there anything great to do with this at this point in time? Well, it is extended. There's no real clean entry, but it does tell us something. This is the gold ETF. You could look at the gold ETF, but you could also take a look at some gold stocks. They're acting decent. There's some strength in the group. There we go. Continue on. That's why we do this. Biotechnology is still kind of choppy here, folks. There's really nothing good going on here. By the way, this is important. That's a tail bar, and this is a tail bar, and this is a tail bar. What are tail bars? It's where it runs up and they take it right back down. It tells us there's no investor conviction. These are the things we teach at Mission Winners. It helps people, and it's not fancy. This isn't calculus. It's simple. So strive for simplicity. Telling you right there, biotechnology, not much happening. Move on. Here we go. Oil and gas. Now look at how this is trending. Do a compare and contrast. Well, this is kind of slipping down here. Oh, look, this is kind of going up. Oil and gas. And it has been going up. What does it tell you? Way back here even. Hey, maybe looking at some oil and gas stocks. There we go. Let's continue onwards. It's a bit extended now, so be careful there. Software technology is just basing. As you can see on the daily and on the weekly. Needs to show some power through here. But that's also a nice base, folks. That's happening. So either this could go and you could buy the ETF, or you could look into some software stocks. We're already involved with some technology stocks and have been for a while. But it's basing nicely. One of the better looking ones at this point in time. Continue onwards. Medicine's hanging in okay. Has a cup with a high handle on the weekly. Perhaps it'll lift off. Doesn't look too bad. Maybe looking at some medicine stocks. Also, you can punch up IHI and find out what their holdings are. There we go. Let's continue onwards. Here we go. Aerospace and defense is hanging in. Bear with me. Just lost a spot on that. That's kind of unique, isn't it? There we go. Got it back. Aerospace and defense hanging in and has been acting decent. It is a little bit extended on the day chart. Be careful taking. This is a very important lesson for everybody. Buy close to the pivot or don't buy at all. And that will really help you. Let's continue onwards. Home construction's acting decent and has acted decent for a while. As you can see, it says maybe buy home building stocks. But what's the one risk here? I'm not being negative, I'm pointing out. It's already quite extended in price. Very important lesson for everybody. Buy close to the pivot price. Buy close to the pivot price or don't buy at all. And that will help you. And there was a base breakout back here too. Continue onwards. S&P 500 growth steadily trending up on the weekly and the daily. What has it told us for a while? Hey, it's okay to buy stocks. Have we bought stocks? Yes. Have we owned stocks for a while? Yes. Are they working for us? Well, you can punch up CRWD. You can punch up SMCI. You can punch up NVDA. There's and a whole bunch of others that MMYT, META, and they're just going. They're just going. I'm not bragging. I'm just pointing out. If you take one thing away from this, it's this: ride trends. Ride trends. There we go. Nothing to do with this. It's hanging in fine. It tells us the growth stock sector is good. Okay, small caps leading a little bit here. It's also telling us the rally's spreading out. That's good to see. Continue onwards. Real estate. It's still chopping around. It's not in a leadership mode. Do a compare and contrast. You can say, well, that's kind of going up in price. This really isn't doing too much at this time. Tells us to be careful with real estate. Let's continue onwards. Transports doesn't look too bad. You can see it's formed a cup of the handle right here. You could punch up IYT and see what their top 10 holdings are. Maybe there's an opportunity there. There we go. Let's continue onwards. Jets, airlines. I love that ticker symbol. Jets. Clean base here, cup and a handle. Look at that. And it broke through on Thursday. Volume pickup, not extremely heavy, but you can see it. And what was it saying? Hey, you might want to look into some airline stocks. Continue onwards. MDY mid cap. That tells us it's not just the big stocks that are moving. Mid cap stocks have been going up too. There's strength in the rally. It's not narrow, it's broad. Continue onwards. Oil services hanging in, trending nicely through here. And it was basing back in here and lifting off on a pickup in volume. Look at the weekly volume on that bar. Pickup going across these tops. Now it's a little bit extended, but it's told us, hey, energy isn't a bad place to look. Pharmaceuticals picking up, but it did tail off on Friday. It gapped up and it reversed down. Here's one thing that's very important. We teach this in Mission Winners. Pretty clean base across here, folks. All right. I'll do something to help you here. Hold on. I try to do this fast enough so it's not like, come on, Pat, hurry up. But thorough enough that you understand. You can see the tops across here. Look what it did on Thursday, or excuse me, on Wednesday. It took off. It lifted off on good volume. And then it lifted up on Thursday, but know what it did. It rallied up and it closed down. But here's the analysis. Up on really heavy volume, down on much less volume. So watch this going forward in the pharmaceutical sector or the PPH. It might be a buy. What would be the setup? Take out these highs, Thursday's highs, and do it on heavy volume. There's a setup. QLD's hanging in, forming a little short base right here, resting on the ADMA. But what's the bigger picture? Go to the weekly and you can say, oh, this has been moving here for a while, several months. This is why we've been involved in technology, big name technology stocks for a while. It was telling us back here, you might want to take a look at some technology stocks. It was basing. And yeah, big NASDAQ stocks. Yes, and we own some. We own more than a few. There you go. Continue onwards. QQQ, same thing as QLD, steadily trending. Nice to see. Retailing has been strong. Look at the weekly on retail. Look at that trend. Now, it's a bit extended. There's nothing to do. But back here, way back here, you're watching it saying, watch this, I'll help you. It's like, oh, look at that. Oh, and by the way, you'll love this. This is why I look at weeklies. This is why we teach weeklies. I taught this at the IVD meetups for years. You don't see much on the daily, but then you look at that weekly and say, oh, that's a longer base. This was back in November, December. So gosh, I guess if it takes that out, that'd be pretty good. Oh, it's coming up close, but there's no volume. Oh, look at that. It pushes through, and look at the volume pickup on the weekly. There you go. It was saying, hey, you could buy this ETF, or you could buy some retailing stocks. I don't know about you, but that looks pretty good to me. Isn't that neat? And here's the part I love. It's simple. It's conceptually correct, but it's simple. It is not 2 + 2 = 5. It's 2 + 2 = 4. It's just simple numbers. Here we go. I mean, you can say that's a unique analogy. Years ago, I taught advanced statistics on the university level. So yeah, we're using numbers. Here we go. Let's continue onwards. Silver. You can see it. Look, oh, it goes up and it drops. It goes up and it drops. Oh, it goes up and it drops. It goes up and it drops. What does that tell us? There's sellers up there. And look at the daily chart. Oh, it's going up. Boom, they take it right back down. Needs to take out these tops here. And I'll draw this to help you. We're almost done. I try to go fast enough so it doesn't take too long for you, but slow enough to be thorough. There we go. Rallies up, they take it right back down. Eventually, maybe it'll take across these tops. You could buy the silver ETF, or you could buy some silver stocks. Here we go. Steel's steadily grinding up. Let me make this chart a little bit bigger so it's easier for you to see. There we go. It's just picking up. No real clean entry at this point in time. So, steel's okay, but there's not a really specific spot at this moment. But it just tells us there's strength in that industry. SMH lifted up here, basing here. Here's the daily. And what does this tell us? Maybe if it takes this out, we could buy SMH, or we could buy some semi-stocks. That's why we do this. Let's continue onwards. Spiders, nice steady trend way back here. And this is why we've owned some big NASDAQ stocks, big growth stocks for a while. They've just been steadily going, letting them work. There we go. Don't have to overthink it. Continue onwards. SSO, same thing situation as spiders. Solar, what does this tell you? Stay away. That's it. What's the trend? The trend is down. Leave it alone. Oh, maybe this is the bottom. We don't play the maybe game. We don't need to. We look for strength and we buy strength and let it work. Just, there's nothing there. Eventually it'll probably turn, but for right now, stay away. Continue onwards. Small caps picking up a little bit, lifted up a little bit right here on the weekly. Some power here, but not a lot. But it does tell us something. It's been steadily picking up. Says the rally spread out into other areas. We like that. Oil's picking up some, but there's no real clean entry there. Okay. But it does tell us oil's not a bad place to look into. It's going up in price. Maybe look for opportunities. Consumer discretionaries hanging in, steadily trending. Says the rally's decent. Aerospace and defense been rallying up. The rally's decent. Biotechnology lifted up, but it fell here on fairly heavy volume here. Okay, just be careful with that. Overall, be careful with biotechnology. I'm not telling you not to buy it. I'm just saying err to the side of caution with it. Okay, always one blow up in a biotechnology stock, and you'll never forget about it. Here we go. Home builders. Look at that trend in home builders. Isn't that nice? It's been telling, hey, look into some home building stocks. Just get in line with it. Weekly. There we go. Let's continue onwards. Materials. How do you build homes with materials? Look, here's the homes. Here's the materials. That's just connected the dots. Broke through here, steadily trending up. Nice to see. Now, here's an important point for everybody. I'm trying to go fast enough so this isn't too long, but slow enough to be thorough. There's no edge in buying it up here. It's too risky. It could pull back. This thing could pull back 5, 7, 8 points, and it still doesn't look too bad. Leave it alone for right now. It's too extended, but it does say that the materials sector has provided an opportunity. XLC communications picking up a little bit. Not, a lot of tail bars in here, so be careful with that. You can see this is a lesson for everybody. When you see a stock go up and the next day it gaps down, not good. Does it again, does it again, does it again, does it again, and again. I'm not being funny here. I'm just saying it tells us there's no follow-through conviction. They chase it and then nothing happens. Also note, when it goes up, they take it right back down on heavier volume than it went up on. Isn't that something? Look at this. It goes up, they take it down on heavier volume than it went up on. Tells us to be careful with this ETF, but also the communication services group as a whole. Continue here. Energy strong. There's another energy ETF, still working, still trending. Note the trend. This is the 8-period exponential moving average. I want to explain something that will help you. This is the 50-day simple. This is the 21-day exponential. And this is the 8-period exponential. Now, what does it tell you? They've been buying energy stocks. There you go. It's a bit extended now, so don't chase price. But back here it said, oh, maybe we own some energy stocks. Here we go. Financials are trending nicely. That's good to see. We're about done. Industrials have been trending nicely. That's neat to see. XLK was trending, and now it's just basing. Needs to get going again across these tops. That's what we need to see. Until then, just err to the side of caution with make new buys in technology. Consumer staples trending nicely. That's okay. Healthcare's picking up a little bit. You've got some tops here, and you can see it's been moving up. What's the moral of this story? Or what's the moral of this video? You can see, oh, there's rally in various areas. It's not narrow. There's more than a few areas that have been participating. Tells you it's okay to participate. You don't need to do anything fancy. You don't need to subscribe to a million different things. There's a tremendous amount of information in the charts. And at Mission Winners, we teach you how to read it. And it's not fancy. It's simple. Okay. Continue onwards. XLY, consumer discretionary, is just basing, needs to show some power. Metals and mining starting to pick up a little bit. Oil services, oil and gas, exploration, steadily trending, nice to see. Retail is hanging in there, good. Software, you can see it was good back in here. We've been involved with software. Now it's just basing. Here's an important lesson for you. It runs up, tail bar, runs up, tail bar. Tail bars across here, another one, Tail, look, it runs up and look at where it closes. It runs up and closes in the bottom half of its range. Tells us something important, at least with this ETF, but also with the stocks in the group. There's some lack of conviction. There's lack of follow through. I'd like to see this thing, and I think it will, lift off and take off. And now here's a very important lesson. What I think and what you think doesn't matter. What matters is what the price, what the chart does. Get in line with that and never argue with it. It'll really help you, I promise. We love the MAXLIST stocks. Huge money can be made in these stocks. Apple, team, this is for everybody. We don't have to overthink it. Don't overanalyze it. Okay, just look at it. What's the trend? The trend is down. Just get in line with the trend. In this case, stay away from it for right now. Eventually it'll turn. When? I don't know. Nobody knows. We don't know the future. I said this at the IBD meetups for years. When we accept the fact that we don't know the future, we see the future more clearly. And it says, oh, that's cute. No, that's not cute. From a psychological perspective, that's one of my degrees, it's reality, just dealing with what it is. There's nothing going on with this at this point in time. Leave it alone. Let's move on. Amazon's been steadily trending up. We've been involved with Amazon, and it's just basing right here. Maybe it'll start to pick up again. You can see a small shelf with it, okay? Trending through there. MAXLIST stock. Needs to take out these tops. It is a little bit extended, though, so be careful with that. Continue onwards. Look at the compare and contrast. You can say, oh, this is trending up nicely on the weekly and the daily. Yeah. And this will chew you up alive. This is why when stocks are in downtrend on the weekly, as you can see here, be careful. Notice what it does. It runs up, they slam it right back down. They slam it right back down. 3 times they did that. Why? There's a tremendous amount of overhead supply. Do you think they're the people that own this back here up at these prices? Yeah. And when it starts to rally, what do? They say, thank heaven, I'm near my price, I'm selling. That's called overhead supply. This is the perfect example of that. The moral of the story is, be careful with stocks with overhead supply. We like stocks that there's not a lot of buyers or not a lot of overhead supply, sellers overhead. Any buying should push it up in price. Nothing to do with this, leave this alone. BIDU, the same situation, there's nothing to do with it. Leave it alone. By the way, when I go fast like that, I'm not doing that to be cute and funny. I'm just saying, if it's not there, it's not there. At Mission Winners, we try to teach what to look for. Most people don't know what to look for. We try to teach it so that they can analyze it better, make better investing decisions, make more money, and be safer too. Now looking at Google here, you can see on the weekly, it's forming a kind of low-level cup with a handle. Here's the cup and the handle on the daily. Some accumulation coming into it. That's a distribution bar right there. And that's the great lesson for everybody. And I taught this at the meetups. Just because it's a green bar doesn't mean it's a good bar. Just because it's a bad bar or a red bar doesn't mean it's a bad bar. You take a look at this bar right here. Oh, it's a green bar on good volume. Note where it opened. You see the hash mark to the left? That's where it opened. It ran up. Look where it closed. It closed below where it opened on a pickup in volume. It was met with selling. So what does it tell us? We need to take these tops out here on the weekly and the daily, and we need to do it with volume. Until then, we wait. One thing I do like is you can see slight volume pickup coming in right in here. So just something to watch. I'm not saying that it is going to break out, but I am saying that it's lining up. That's good to see. Mission Winners, we always are prepared. We always have a plan. Continue onward. Goldman Sachs lifted across these tops right in here, pulled back on less volume, and then started to pick up again. This is a great lesson. Lifts up on heavy volume, pulls back on less volume, and then resting inside bar and then it starts to pick up again on a pickup in volume. This is something important. Charts are a reflection of human emotions. Charts are a reflection of group psychology, folks. It's all reflected in the charts, price and volume. When you learn how to read it, at Mission Winners, we teach it, things get better. Let's continue onward, shall we? So this is picking up a little bit. It's a little bit extended, so just be a little careful with that, okay? Intel, there's no real leadership there at this time. Leave it alone. Eventually it can turn, but right now it's below the falling 50-day. This sounds really simple and goofy, but it's the truth. The air is better above the rising 50-day moving average line. There you go. Let's move on. MasterCard steadily trending up. There's, look at the support here on the 21 EMA. Support here and here and here and here. People use these moving averages to their advantage. We do too. There we go. Is there anything to really do with it right now? Well, it'd be nice if it based here and took off. It's a little bit extended in price, but there is a small, and I'll draw this to help you. There's a small shelf right there. Have to watch and see what happens, okay? Now, that's small shelf. It's not a long base. It's riskier, so just be cognizant of that. Meta has been a great, brush this just to make sure. Yeah, look, our buys back in here. We were buying back here and here. And Meta buys back here, okay? Right in here at around 350. There they are on the daily. Buys, 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 buys. And note the trend. Trends pay. Walking up the 8 EMA, walking up the 21 EMA. That's what we look for. Have we sold some into strength up here? Yes, we have. You can see why. Momentum's lost. It's lost some momentum. So what do? We sell some, and it works. But what's the moral of this story? Ride trends. And again, we own this. We were buying this back in here, folks. All right? And it's trended. Do that. By the way, when I share that, please do not think I'm bragging. No, I'm trying to educate. And Mission Winners, try to educate you on what to look for to help you make better investing decisions and more money. That's what we're after. Let's continue onwards here. We're about done, by the way. Microsoft started to lift. We bought this back here too, okay? But now it's gotten a little choppier, okay? Here we go. That base there is this base right here. That's it. The same base. And it worked. Now it's gotten a little choppier. I'll go back here. A little looser. So it just tells us at this time, sell some off, get lighter, get out. Now wait and see. Don't buy it yet. It hasn't given any triggers. We just have to wait. Continue onwards. Netflix has been steadily trending. There's no real clean entry right now. We'll have to watch and see. Perhaps it'll base here and take off. But you can see it's falling, and this is a great lesson. Watch this. It's falling on increasing volume. It's not the end of the world, but you can see they're selling it down and slightly increasing volume. Just says be cautious. NVDA has been a great run through here. I mentioned this earlier. Look at the base on the weekly. This is why I love weekly and daily. Broke out right here on the weekly. Right here. And look at the volume on that bar. Now I'm going to slide this back on the daily so you can see it. Pushing through, tails off, and then the next bar you get the volume coming into it. And we're buying. And buys in here, more than several buys. And the trend. Sell some off, and the trend. And this is where we're at now. Right there. I'll call it 520. 520 up to 900. Just letting the stock work. Yes, still owned. There we go. Now, I'm not saying buy it here, okay? But I will say this may form another base up here. You can say, oh, really? And we're already prepared. You see that little green hash mark? That's my buy alert. That's my buy alert. Not a stop, just an alert. Already prepared. There we go. Let's flush back there. Let's continue onwards here. There's Tesla. Tesla's in a downtrend on the weekly. Tesla's in a downtrend on the daily. There's nothing to do with it. It's been great to us before, but at this point in time, there's nothing there. Just leave it alone. Eventually it'll change, I'm sure, but for right now, nothing to do with it. Move on. Visa, sloppy, runs up. They take it down. Look at the selling volume here. versus the buying volume. There's nothing to do with it. At this point in time, leave it alone. Done with it.
Thank you for watching the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit like. Maybe hit that subscribe button. We come up with new content nearly every day. Also, check out the videos on the right. YouTube recommends the one on the top, and the bottom one is something we thought you might enjoy. See you next time.